Hi there, my friend. Welcome to the Leadership Table podcast with Danielle and Chad Reyes. We are so excited to have you with us today. And today's conversation is going to be an impactful one because you often hear entrepreneurship and you hear about being an entrepreneur. But what we're going to talk about is the 8 types of entrepreneurs today. We're going to talk about what are they? Are they motivated to build things? How do you lead them? How do you challenge them? And my wife and business partner Danielle and I today are just going to have a conversation around these 8 types of entrepreneurs. So
I love it.
Be prepared. We're going to challenge you, but we're going to have some breakthroughs. And we always talk about how mature leaders have mature conversations. Mature conversations is not just saying entrepreneurs. There's 8 types of them.
Well, the big question is too, are you just a business owner or are you an entrepreneur?
Yeah.
And there is a difference. And now we're gonna go through what the 8 are.
Yeah.
I'm gonna start with the first one, the resisting entrepreneur. Stuck in the past, fears change, and inevitably becomes irrelevant. Can you just talk about what types of leaders you have come across in our business with those characteristics?
Well, the truth of it is that resisting entrepreneurs, they're stuck in, we've always done it this way. And we've always done it this way, maybe worked 30 years ago, 40 years ago.
That's what you hear a lot.
But what happens is when technology is moving as fast as it's moving today, and when innovation is moving so quickly, with the injection of artificial intelligence, with the injection of 5 generations in the marketplace, when you put all of those things together, the resisting entrepreneur can't really succeed anymore.
No.
And what happens is, and really is, to me, when I think about it, when we're coaching, and we don't coach resisting entrepreneurs because they could be resisting entrepreneurs and they say, well, I'm willing to change. Well, then they're no longer a resisting entrepreneur.
Yeah.
But if they stay in that, we can't coach them. And the reason why we can't coach them is because they're not coachable.
Also trends come and go and they don't jump on to evolve.
Yeah.
Just as you said about AI.
And resisting entrepreneurs, a lot of the times they're stuck in their ways because we've always done it this way. And in the 80s and 90s, maybe that works, but that doesn't work in 2025 and beyond.
Right.
So the resisting entrepreneur, I think what they find is that eventually they got to close their business because they can't even sell it. The truth of it is, this is really what a resisting entrepreneur looks like. It's hard to hear like, well, I'm a resisting entrepreneur, but these are the attributes of a resisting entrepreneur.
Well, then would the question be that they're just a business owner?
Well, maybe, but a business owner even can sell their business at some point.
Correct.
A resisting entrepreneur is a person who says, I have a business, maybe I've grown it. Some of them have even grown something significant, but because they haven't built systems and structures and innovated, you find that a lot of them no longer can even sell their business because there's no value there. So what they do is they got to lock the door and walk away. And that's what a resisting entrepreneur does. They sacrifice all of their life to never really be able to monetize what they've built because they haven't built anything that is actually transferable.
Yeah, I know in our community, yours and my heart breaks when that happens. Yeah. We can see a business that we know was a community business, the community loved them, and then the doors just shut. And it actually does hurt.
It hurts because you maybe even patroned their business when you were younger. So think about this, a lot of the memories you have are from being at their business, but they never grew and they never evolved.
Right.
And I just share that if you're a resisting entrepreneur, hopefully you move to, I don't want to be that. I want to be able to unlock value. I want to be able to one day, if I choose to sell my business, I can sell it. And it's not selling it even to maximize. So a lot of people, we see this as a resisting entrepreneur. They said, well, I have all my wealth. I've made money. So it doesn't even have to be that they're not successful. They could be very successful and still being a resisting entrepreneur.
Yeah.
But you want to know what? We close the door. And when we close the door, and this is what I want you to hear from a resisting entrepreneur, when you close the door and you lock the door and that's the last time that door is open, Maybe you walk away and you have enough money in your bank account. But all the people that have been patroning your business for years and generations, they have something that they're missing now.
Yeah.
Just to think, you could have sold that to someone and now someone could have continued that.
Yeah. Well, we're going to get to some of those entrepreneurs that do that. The next one is the steady income entrepreneur. Seeks stability over growth. Avoiding risk and innovation. Sounds like.
Yeah. Well.
What do those type of entrepreneurs sound like?
Well, really, what they are these are people that don't want to work for someone else, but they really don't want to grow something either. So they choose basically to say, I'm not going to go work for someone. I'll build something for myself. But they're just looking for a steady paycheck. They're not looking to grow anything. They're not looking to multiply. They're not looking to franchise. They're looking to say, I made X amount working at a company, and now I want to make X amount doing it for myself. And that's really what a steady income entrepreneur is. And it, for me, I understand it, and there's not a right or wrong, but for us in Lions Pride, it's hard for us to work with those first two, the resisting entrepreneur and the steady income entrepreneur, because they're not growth minded in the sense that they're looking to grow something. They have a vision in their mind and in their heart that they want to see come to fruition. You and I and our organizations and our coaches are good with people that have a vision, and now we can help them grow into that.
We want to help them fulfill that and impact as many lives along the way that they can as leaders and entrepreneurs.
So the steady income entrepreneur, they're great people. They could be phenomenal people. Many of them make a lot of money. They go from working in corporate America making 6 or 7 figures. So now they build their own business. They're making 6 or 7 figures. They make a lot of money. But it doesn't necessarily mean that they want to grow.
Well, that was going to be my point in the steady income too, though. They're not ones that want to build wealth. So there's a difference also with wanting to build money, make as much money as you can, but think about it, right? A steady income entrepreneur, they have a steady income. It could be a lot, but they're not actually looking to accumulate and make wealth so that it impacts.
So I'll give you an example. A steady income entrepreneur, though, could be someone that they make $1 million a year, right? They make $1 million a year. They live on $300,000 a year, and they take another $400,000 and pay taxes, and they take that $300,000 and they put it in retirement accounts, right? That could be a steady income entrepreneur, not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah, but again, it's different. Money,
it's very different.
Wealth, I feel, at least our definition, is wealth impacts many. Where
that's the reason why
we're talking about rich.
The reason why I'm saying is wealth in their world. Wealth could just mean accumulation of financial assets.
Yes.
And it's not a bad thing or a good thing. It's just, there's many very successful steady income entrepreneurs. It's just our Lions Pride leadership wants growth
looking to grow the business. Yeah. So going into that, a growth minded entrepreneur, as I would state, is the next level entrepreneur. Focusing on scaling and efficiently, to grow without burning out. Those are some of the people that say, I need better systems so I can grow without chaos. Or I want to work smarter, not harder. Not harder, right? Speak to that.
Well, it's very common. And I think you're seeing more of those types of entrepreneurs that are more next level entrepreneurs. So what they're saying is, I want to build systems, I want to build infrastructure, I want to make more money, I want to grow, but I'm not doing it because I want to scale this to another level that's significant. They don't want to deal with the headaches. They don't want to deal with the burnout.
Like you said, like the chaos.
They just want to make sure, and it's not a bad thing or a good thing. It's just knowing who you are and what works for you. They just want to make sure that they have efficiencies and they have systems in place that allows their businesses to run nice and smooth. And you see a lot of next level entrepreneurs in communities, because you see that you could tell when you walk in, you're like, wow, they run it really well. It runs tight. It runs smooth.
Right.
And you can tell that they're making money. They're successful. But they don't care to then take those systems and multiply them to more locations and things like that. And that's not a bad thing. It's just knowing knowing as an entrepreneur what your vision is, right? I think one of the things that we do really well when we coach clients is we get them to become very clear of what their purpose and their vision is.
Right.
Because you and I are a big believer that if you're clear on the purpose, why the business exists,
Right.
and the vision, where are we going, then everything that we do after that will be driven for that purpose and vision.
Right.
So if the purpose is to be a next level entrepreneur, tight systems, things work well, making sure that we're very profitable, we're making a good impact, we're doing it ethically, that's phenomenal. If you're clear on your purpose and your vision.
Right. We're doing well right now, but we actually want to get to the next level because we know that there's growth and there's room and this is where I want to go. And right, we have a clear path, a clear vision, and that is what we do. But they have to have that mindset.
And they can
If
go.
they're fixed, like the other two, the resisting entrepreneur and the steady income.
Different, very different.
That's a fixed mindset. That is, I'm here, I've done it, or like that's it. I don't care to grow. But the one that says, you know what, I want to get to the next level, whatever that level is.
Well, I think it's a journey.
Is where the growth mindset starts.
Yeah. Think of it as a journey, right? I think that our audience, when you think of it, the next level entrepreneur is saying, I'm now stepping into that next level. Level means there's more levels.
Right.
Meaning, you could become a next level entrepreneur and then decide as you start doing it and building it and growing it, that one of these other additional entrepreneurial journeys is yours.
Right.
But the next level entrepreneur basically says, I'm not looking just for a steady income, and I'm not a resisting entrepreneur, but I'm a next level entrepreneur. I'm going to take that next step. And one of the things that I love is, I heard John Maxwell say this many years ago. He's talked about the headlights of a car. Picture getting in your car and saying, I'm not going to drive because I can't see the entire trip. Next level entrepreneurs get in their car and they start driving and they get to the next level. And then because they can see more, they start making better decisions. Yeah.
Agreed. Now, as we get to the fourth type of entrepreneur, which is one of my favorites, the legacy builder entrepreneur creates a business that outlives them, driven by impact. And I love what this one sounds like. I know, we do. This one sounds like, I'm building something that will last for generations. That's what we say. Success isn't enough, but I want significance. And I'll speak on that because we do work with a lot of entrepreneurs, I would say, that are the legacy builder entrepreneurs.
Yeah. Well, you and I both know that we really enjoy working with these types of entrepreneurs because it's part of our DNA. I say this to our team often. I say this, you and I have these conversations, that we have two types of assets. We have legacy assets and we have financial assets.
Yes.
Legacy assets are assets that are not designed to be built and then sold. Legacy assets are designed to be around for generations, to make impact, to build, have families, have opportunities, have future generations, kids, grandkids to come into the business, right? But not everyone's designed to build a legacy. Not everyone is designed to be a legacy entrepreneur.
Right.
You and I have clearly earmarked what are legacy businesses. Lions Pride is a legacy business. Wealth and Legacy Group is a legacy business. But then we have other businesses that you and I own that are financial assets.
Right.
They're financial
build and we can sell.
I'm very comfortable building it and very comfortable selling it. These types of entrepreneurs, they typically are building a legacy business that's allowing future generations to come in. It's allowing future generations, even of their employees and their kids and grandkids, to one day come into that business.
Right.
That's a legacy-driven entrepreneur that they're building things differently than maybe the next level entrepreneur or any of the other entrepreneurs. And one of the things, now this is important, I really want you to hear this. One of the things that legacy entrepreneurs do is they build for future generations they don't meet. Now I'll give you an example, and I'm going to give it to you in something all of us can understand. If you go into Manhattan or you go into a major city and you look up, you see skyscrapers. Okay? The skyscrapers in the sky were built by people that were building it for one day the owner that would never meet the people that are coming into the building, but it needed to be up to stand and withstand the hurricanes, the seasons, the changes in time, the changes in weather patterns. That's what legacy builder entrepreneurs do. They build for people that will never meet.
To sustain.
They build it in such a way that allows those businesses to thrive and grow and impact future generations they never meet. It's a very different approach because legacy builder entrepreneurs have to sacrifice a lot today.
Yes, they do.
Because they're not building for today. They're building for a day that they may never see. And it's a very different perspective than other types of entrepreneurs. And it doesn't make it a right or wrong.
Right.
It just is, it's a very different way. It's the same thing. One of the gentlemen on our team, one of our key leaders at Lions Pride, I say to him, sometimes we're building for things that need to stand for 100 years. And then sometimes we're building something that just needs to be around for 3 years. And then we're going to tweak that system and then we're going to tweak that infrastructure. So that's what legacy builders understand. They understand that they're building something that is going to be around for future generations they may never meet.
Yeah. Well, now we've been in business together about 18 years.
Yeah.
Right? We've been on this journey longer.
Yeah.
But the thing is, too, is we actually didn't start off, we were entrepreneurs by blood. We didn't even title ourselves that at the beginning, right? We just wanted to build something. At first, it was just to be successful. And it evolved into legacy building. So I just want to speak to those entrepreneurs today, too, that may turn around and say, well, I didn't even think of that. I didn't even know the differences between the entrepreneurs. But you know what? That's something that's just like lit you. And you're like, that's what I want, right? Just know, it's not started from the beginning. It's an evolution.
You grow.
It evolved into that.
I think about it when we first started, we were not thinking legacy. We were thinking financial assets. You fast forward 20 years later, now we're thinking legacy. We're thinking about the impact that Lions Pride franchises will have in communities around the entire United States. We were not thinking, we couldn't even think about that at that point. We were just trying to put food on the table.
Well, we were 26 years old when we started.
But
I won't say the age.
Yeah, but now knowing what we know and knowing what we want to accomplish and the impact we want to make in lives, it changes everything. And the reason why I think these 8 types of entrepreneurs are so key is because someone can say, that's me. Or they can say, that's me, but I want to be this one.
Right.
And then if I'm the next level entrepreneur, but I want to eventually become a legacy builder entrepreneur, what do I need to do to take me from where I am to where I want to be?
That's a great question. Great question. And for those that love math, I kind of did give our age away. Sorry, honey. I
get younger every year, as so does my wife.
You're lucky. That was a brownie point there.
Wisdom.
All right. So back to our 8 different types of entrepreneurs. The 5th one we have here is the successor entrepreneur. It's the one that sustains and improves a family business for the next generation.
Now, the difference between a legacy builder and a successor entrepreneur, they're very different, even though they may sound very similar. The successor entrepreneur is thinking one generation, meaning I have this business, I'd like my kids to come into it. I have this business, I'd like it to give it to my niece or nephew.
But sometimes it's just somebody internally too.
Yeah, or I have this business and eventually I'd like it to make it to a team member, right? The difference between a successor entrepreneur and a legacy builder entrepreneur is a legacy builder entrepreneur is thinking 3 or 4 or 5 generations that they may not meet. The successor is really thinking to the immediate next generation. Not a right or wrong, but it's knowing the difference, because when you know the type of business that you're trying to build, then what happens is how you go about your strategy of how you're going to go about building that business changes based off of the type of business that you're trying to build.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's so good. That sounds like if it's a family business, it's my family built this, I'm not going to let it fail.
Yep.
That's a successor entrepreneur.
You'll also hear, hey, my dad sacrificed a lot, and I got to make sure that we keep growing this because of dad and what he did, right? So we want to, you want to just recognize the motivation behind why you've built what you've built, because that will allow you to really get to the next level. Because there are things that we do. I know when I work with CEOs of companies and entrepreneurs, when I recognize the type of entrepreneur they are, that then dictates how we coach them.
Right.
Because if we're looking at a legacy builder entrepreneur, well, then we're looking to build really deep infrastructure.
Right.
Real deep infrastructure, because ultimately that goal is for that infrastructure to support generations. But if we're looking at it as the franchisor or the successor entrepreneur, well, it's very different infrastructure that you build. And the coaching changes based off of who they are and what they're trying to accomplish. Yeah.
Yep, love it. Another exciting one for me is number 6, the franchisor entrepreneur. Masters replication, expanding through repeatable success.
Yeah.
It's one that wants to create a system, right? System structured organization that's going to be able to multiply.
Yeah.
And I know that that's what we want to do too.
Yeah. So what's interesting about this, and I want to challenge everyone, is to choose the word and instead of or. Now watch what I mean by that. The legacy builder entrepreneur or the franchisor entrepreneur. Danielle and I are actually the legacy builder entrepreneur and the franchisor entrepreneur.
Yes.
Because we're franchising Lions Pride Leadership. So, but Lions Pride Leadership is also a legacy asset. So when you really think about it, it's not one or the other. We're actually doing both of them. So now when you start thinking through it, now it's not, are we one or the other, but you may be one or two or maybe even 3 types of these entrepreneurs in the context of building your business and your organization.
Love it.
Yeah. It's powerful because what Danielle and I are trying to do is we're trying to give you a mature conversation to challenge you to be better. You see, a lot of times when people throw the word entrepreneur out, you throw the word entrepreneur out, but you're not really thinking about what that means. And then I'm gonna share this with you. I talk about define and refine often. I talk about you got to define something before you could refine something. These 8 types of entrepreneurs, we're defining what type of entrepreneur so that you can move into the refined part. The refined part is based off of what you defined. Now we refine. And that's what I really want you to pick up. You may walk away and saying, hey, I'm this type of entrepreneur. Well, that's great because now you defined it. The next part is how do you refine it so that you can make it better?
Or have you been awakened to the fact that you are one of the number 1 or 2, which is the resisting entrepreneur or the steady income entrepreneur? That's okay too. But if something sparked you to want to go into or move into one of the growth-minded entrepreneurs, I encourage you that and truly believe that when you increase your awareness, it transforms your life. So we're looking here to have a mature conversation to really call out the different types of entrepreneurs, because just like you mentioned, right? It's like a blanket statement. Okay, I'm an entrepreneur. Well, what does that mean? What do you bring to the world? Right? And how do you define yourself as an entrepreneur? And that's why we were excited for this conversation.
And really, if you take the 8 that we're going through, you can break it up into 2 categories: growth-minded entrepreneurs and fixed-minded. The growth-minded ones are the 6 that we're the next. The last 6 out of 8. The first 2 are fixed-minded, and it's there's no right or wrong in it. But knowing where you stand is so key. And honestly, that's where mature leaders have mature conversations, because a lot of times, sometimes people think that there's something that they're not. And sometimes people are something that they're not doing right now. So you may be a legacy builder entrepreneur, but maybe no one gave you language around it. And we're giving you language today. Or you may be a franchisor entrepreneur, but no one actually ever said that that's the type of entrepreneur you are.
Right.
We have created paths for leaders to go down these 6 out of the 8, because we really, it's hard for us to work with the first 2, but the next 6, we've created paths of how to develop those type of entrepreneurs to reach their fullest potential.
And some of you actually may think you're better than you are. And I don't mean that to be rude or disrespectful, but sometimes we think we're better than we are. And as we start to break down the definition of these 8, you start to recognize where you are and that you could actually be better than you think you are. I also want to encourage you, at Lions Pride Leadership, we have a newsletter. We have emails that go out on a weekly basis. This is actually what you see us reading off of is actually a newsletter that will be going out to our database. If you want to catch that newsletter and repeat these in more depth, I encourage you to go to lionsprideLeadership.com, and there's a section on there that you could put your email address and you could subscribe to our weekly emails and monthly newsletters. So just back to
very, very powerful. And the thing I'll say is I'm humbled because I get to speak to great entrepreneurs and business leaders all the time. I get to coach them. I get to mentor them. And the thing that I love is I love when someone could get clear on why they exist, their business exists, and what's the vision that they're trying to accomplish. Because the second that I can get a leader to understand that, I can then give them the tools that they need and I can challenge them. The hardest part is to challenge someone when they don't know why they exist and they don't know where they're going. It's very, very difficult. But once you get clear on that, it becomes a lot easier. And that's what these are. These are paths to why we exist and where we're going.
Love it. Speaking of, now we're getting down to the last 2. Number 7 is the exit strategy entrepreneur. Builds businesses with a goal of selling at a peak value. They build to sell.
And what's really important with this type of entrepreneur is that you have to make sure that you're not making the exit more important than the people. Because what happens is that people that are looking to sell, sometimes they're only looking at purely the profit or the maximizing of the return on investment. And what can happen is sometimes you can use the people to drive up ROI. But what you actually are doing, and I talk about 3 types of ROI: return on investment, return on influence, and return on impact. So you may have driven up your return on your investment, but you may have driven down your return on your impact on people and your return on your influence with people. So you really need to be careful. As an exit strategy entrepreneur, it's probably really helpful for you to be very transparent with your motives, because the more transparent you are with your motives, the more people around you can understand why you're doing what you're doing. And if they understand, hey, listen, the goal is in the next 3 to 5 years, I want to build up the value, I want to sell this thing, and we're going to maximize the value. And by the way, if you help us, you're going to be able to partake in some of that. It's a really valuable conversation to have. But I've found so many leaders that sometimes that's their intentions, but they don't communicate it. And then what happens is you find that behind the scenes, they're having conversations to sell the business and they don't want no one to know, because they weren't clear and they weren't intentional and they weren't transparent on the front end. And if they were, they may have been able to get people to get buy-in greater on the front end.
I actually just came back to memory, and it's a very good book. It's called Difficult Conversations Don't Have to Be Difficult. And I don't remember her last name, but one of the authors, because there's 2, is by Amy. So you can look that up. It's a very good book, and it's a story on the fact that she was looking to sell the business, but she had forgotten about how she was treating the people. And the conversation that difficult conversation had to change, and it changed the whole course. And even the sale of the business got greater because she was about to lose everything. Well, it's a great storybook.
What happens is, as a leader, you wind up becoming you wind up losing trust with people because you're not transparent on your intentions and your motives, right? So if the goal is to really build it and sell it, and you're telling people, well, hey, listen, we want to just have this to be really, we want this business to be successful.
Right.
Let's keep working hard, and there's a future for us and our kids and our grandkids here one day. But you really know that your goal and your motive is to sell it? My friend, you're not a good leader. You're a manipulator. Hear what I just said? You're not a good leader. You're a manipulator, because your intentions from the beginning was never for it to be generational. It was to sell it. Now, there's nothing wrong with there's nothing wrong with your goal of selling it. The struggle as a leader, and this is where mature leaders have mature conversations. So if you're that person, just know that my name is Chad and I love you. But the problem is this, is that if your intentions is to sell and you're telling people it's to build it for their kids one day to come into the business, you're really manipulating people because you're not telling them the truth.
Well, even if you're not saying it that direct, right? But you're not saying anything.
Well, not saying anything is still a problem, because
that's exactly what I'm saying.
Oh, got it.
It is still a problem.
It's a problem because you may not be saying anything, or you're telling people one story but not the other story. And what happens is that you wind up deceiving the people.
Right.
I will tell you this, and I've had conversations with people, key leaders on our team, and we've told them this business is never designed to be sold. If it's sold, it's only because it had to be sold, whether that meant it was causing destruction in the family, or whether that meant that we were burned out and it had to be sold.
Or that we felt that God was just transitioning us into something else, and we may have not saw that as part of the plan.
Correct.
But our intentions today is not to sell.
But the key is, if you're looking to exit, be honest and transparent with people, and they'll help you build it. Because then they can see, maybe I can even have a piece of this exit, and I'll give you everything I got for the next 5 years. But when you're not transparent on the front end of what your intentions are, then it gets people to say, well, what is the reason why? And one of the things that great leaders do is they manage expectations. And I just want to encourage you, if you identify the type of entrepreneur you are, or the people that you are around, and you can then identify it, it's easier to manage expectations, because you could say, this is what I'm an exit strategy entrepreneur. I'm going to build it and sell it.
And we'll include that link for that book that I mentioned in the description of our podcast on YouTube. So the last one, are you ready?
Yeah.
You ready for the serial entrepreneur?
Yeah.
Launches, scales, exit, repeats. Always chasing the next venture.
Yeah.
They love the thrill of launching new businesses.
They're very driven by the excitement around building something and selling it, building something and selling it. You see that even in real estate,
right? Where
you see someone, they buy it, they fix it up, they sell it. They buy it, they fix it up, and they sell it.
I actually came in as that entrepreneur, though. Like I was looking like, okay, we're going to build this company and then on to the next venture, which was really a pivotal point when we started to recognize we were legacy builders. And then we were like, okay, these are the companies that are going to be legacy. And then these are the companies, and we've been honest with those that are part of those companies, that this is something in maybe 5 years we may
build it and maybe
sell. Correct.
But the serial entrepreneur, they need different, their leadership and what's required of them is different, because they need to get buy-in quick.
Right.
They need to scale quick. They need more capital typically, because all of that is a front-ended, where we need to get momentum quickly. Right. Whereas a legacy builder doesn't need to necessarily have as much momentum on the early end, because their goal is not 5 years, it's 50 years,
right,
or 100 years or 300 year vision. And the difference is knowing the type of entrepreneur that you are, or the one that you're working for, is really key, because then it helps you navigate conversations. It helps you manage expectations. And the thing I'll say is this: our goal at Lions Pride is to awaken you to your potential. It's to empower you to reach that potential. And then it's to equip you with the tools necessary to fulfill that potential. The reason why knowing the type of entrepreneur you are is because the tools that are needed are different for each path. If you're one type of entrepreneur than a different, you need different tools. And if you don't know the type of entrepreneur you are, then what's going to happen is you're going to be using tools that maybe are for the wrong project.
Right. Well, you said it before. You need to define
So you could
refine. And that's why we're here. We want to help those that have defined and they want to refine the process that they're in, because our heart is for people and our heart is for business. And I mean, that's also why we started the leadership podcast.
Our goal is to help leaders reach their potential. And the only way you help a leader reach their potential is you help them understand what they're trying to accomplish. And then you resource them so that they could accomplish the dreams and visions that are in their heart and in their mind.
Yep. That's the end of our...
That's it?
That's it? You want to keep going? Does anyone
listen, if you want to...
entrepreneur
If you want to continue the conversation, then just tell us entrepreneur number 9 or 10. But just to recap, in wrapping up today, the 8 types of entrepreneurs, and like I said, 2 of them are fixed-minded and 6 of them are growth-minded.
Yep.
The 2 that are fixed-minded are the resisting entrepreneur and the steady income entrepreneur. Not a good or a bad thing. It's just that's who they are. The other 6 growth-minded entrepreneurs is the next level entrepreneur, the legacy builder. Then we have the successor entrepreneur, the franchisor entrepreneur, the exit strategy entrepreneur, and here's the last one, the serial entrepreneur. My friend, as you continue down your leadership journey, I just would encourage you to recognize who you are, why you exist, where you're going. And we just want to encourage you on that journey. That's what the leadership table is about. It's where mature leaders have mature conversations. And the truth of it is, it's the better you are clear about where you're looking to go, the greater probability you have of reaching it. Hey, thank you for joining us on the Leadership Table podcast. Danielle and I are rooting for you. You have tremendous potential. Keep leading well. May God bless you. Until next time, be well.
Bye.
You're listening to the Leadership Table. I am so excited that you've joined us. Hey, listen, you want to join us in future episodes where we're going to invite some of our greatest friends, some of the greatest leaders we know, to share all about their leadership journeys and just add tremendous value to you and your teams. Hey, listen, drop a comment below on your biggest takeaway, that what is impacting you the most. Like it. Share it with those people that you know need to hear this message. And subscribe. And hey, listen, turn on the notifications. I just want to thank you because you are making a difference. As you help us, we help you. And we just divide the work and multiply the impact. My friend, thank you for joining us on the Leadership Table.